Welcome to the interview. My name is Reginald C. Gardner. I will be your host. I want to share with you a non-threatening approach of how you can get into salvation dialogue with people who you come in contact with. Whether you're cold calling at the door, or you meet somebody at the grocery store or sporting goods store, maybe in a parking lot, maybe at a football game. There's many places in which we find ourselves amongst people. What we want to do is we want to be able to offer the individual something, even if it's no more than just a compliment. For example, if I am walking up to a door, I'm looking in the yard or on the front porch or in the window, and I'm seeing things that are of interest to that individual. So as I then knock on that door and I introduce myself, and I also explain very briefly what it is that I have to offer, I'll make a comment about their yard or about the decorations that they have on their front porch. And immediately that person will be drawn to you because you have shown some attention for the things that they have. Also, as I am talking to that individual, I might ask them if they know of somebody that wears the uniform of our nation and is serving our country, that I'd like to be able to send them a card of appreciation, thanking them for their service, for their sacrifice that they're making to be able to defend our country. Maybe they don't know anybody like that. I'll ask them if they might know a young mother that's struggling financially and needs some baby clothes, that I might be able to help her with some baby clothes. Very often I might go through the Thrifty Nickel or the local newspaper, and I will list maybe 2 or 3 dozen help wanted ads and put them on a piece of paper and then print out maybe 20 copies of it. And I'll ask them if they might know somebody that's looking for work, and I have a list of ads here that has the employer and has the contact information. People all of a sudden will start to open that door just a little bit more and realize that you have something to offer them. As the old saying goes, people are not interested in how much you know, but they want to know that you care. And so that's what we're trying to demonstrate, that we care about them. Again, you might be at a store and you see somebody approaching you. Maybe they're wearing a t-shirt that has Jesus on it, or a cross, or some religious symbol. Maybe they're wearing a necklace or a bracelet that has a cross on it. And as they approach, you might make a comment of how you like their cross and you appreciate what they have. And next thing you know, you're able to get into a dialogue with that individual. And so as I go through this interview, I hope this will help you. Something else, you want to be careful about your body language. When people are sharing with you some of their most intimate thoughts, and to you that might sound strange, well, you don't show body language that demonstrates that, because they'll pick up on that right away and realize that you're a fraud or a phony. You want to look them in the eye, and so you want to express to them that you are genuine and that you are serious. All right, with that, let's get into this flow chart. I don't know how many of you are familiar with a flow chart, but as we go through it, you'll see how this works. You do not have to use this word for word, but you want to get familiar with it, and you want to be able to convey the thought or the questions that we have on the flow chart. So this is the flow chart in its entirety. So let's move on and see how this works. All right, we're going to be dealing with the top part of the flow chart. And we see that we have a question up there at the top. What if the Lord were to come right now? Would you know for sure, nothing doubting, that you would go to heaven? And if they've given you their name, you might say, hey, Bob, I appreciate the opportunity to get acquainted with you. What if the Lord were to come right now? Would you know for sure, nothing doubting, that you would go to heaven? So there's our first question, and they're going to make a response to it. No. All right. Does it bother you, Bob? No. Well, remember I asked and want to talk to you about it. Maybe we'll meet again and we can have a cup of coffee or a sandwich. Leave a friend, leave a friend, leave a friend. All right, let's start again. What if the Lord were to come right now? Sally, would you know for sure, nothing doubting, that you would go to heaven? No. Does that bother you, Sally? When I think about it, can we think about it right now? No. Well, Sally, remember that I asked and want to talk about it. Maybe we'll have an opportunity again to meet and have a cup of coffee or a sandwich together. You have a great day. All right, let's start again. What if the Lord were to come right now? Would you know for sure, nothing doubting, that you would go to heaven, Joe? No? Does that bother you, Joe? Yes. Did you see that? Yes. And then our question would be from there, well, Joe, are you a Christian? Okay, start at the top again. All right, Mark. It's a real pleasure to meet you. And, I commented on your shirt, and I was just wondering, what if the Lord were to come right now? Would you know for sure, nothing doubting, that you would go to heaven? I don't know. I think so. I hope so. These are what I call the shoulder shruggers. Are you a Christian? All right, top of the page. Mary, it is great to get acquainted with you, and I really appreciate your attitude. You're such an upbeat person. What if the Lord were to come right now? Would you know for sure, nothing doubting, that you'd go to heaven? Yes! Wow, that's exciting. Are you a Christian? All right, we've covered the top of the chart, so let's move on. Now, we're going to deal with the bottom of the chart. And we've got to that question there, are you a Christian? So let's continue on. Are you a Christian? No. Were you ever a Christian? Now let me explain this a little bit. Sometimes they might even look at you a little strange when you ask that question. Were you ever a Christian? For example, they may have been raised with their parents in the church. And so their parents took them with them every Sunday. But when they got old enough to leave home, they left home. They left the church. They left everything. So sometimes in the minds of some of the people that you're talking to, they may have thought that they was a Christian when they was living at home. But when they left home, they left all of that behind them. All right, let's move on. No, I never was a Christian. Do you love God, George? No. Well, George, I appreciate your honesty. Remember, I asked and want to talk about it. Maybe we might meet again and have coffee or lunch. Would that sound fair to you, George? Yeah, sure. You leave a friend, you leave a friend, leave a friend. Top of the page. Are you a Christian, Mary? No. Were you ever a Christian, Mary? No. Do you love God? Yes. Well, Mary, that's wonderful. May I share with you how I found the Lord? Did you notice there at the bottom, may I share? I didn't say, Mary, may we have a Bible study? Mary, I need to sit down with you and teach you. Mary, I'm sorry to hear that, but you really need to look at God's Word. No, I used the word share. Non-threatening approach. A non-threatening approach. Top of the page. Are you a Christian, George? No. Were you ever a Christian? Yes. Now we move to another series of questions. Well, George, how old were you when you became a Christian? We want them to define that moment or that point of salvation. And sometimes they might look at you as well, and I might explain to them, well, George, if I would ask your mother when you were born, she would tell me the year, the month, the date, the day, and the hour in which you came into the world. So that's what we're talking about here in defining the point of salvation. So, George, how old were you when you became a Christian? Where was it? Was it at home? Was it at church? A revival? A youth camp? Number 3, was it Sunday or during a revival? Was it at home? When you ask these questions, you want to give them a chance to answer those questions. And again, you don't want to show them body language that you might think that they're weird or strange, but you want to show some excitement, and you want to compliment them as they're giving their answer. We're not here to debate them or argue with them. Number 4, was it at night? How did you respond? What did you do to get right with God? Sometimes they'll say, well, we prayed. We came forward and we prayed. Number 7, then you're telling me that you were saved in the prayer. Is that right, George? Yes. Well, when did you join the church, George? Oh, number 9. You were saved on Tuesday and were baptized into the church on Sunday morning. Is that right, George? Yeah, that's right. Have you had other salvation experiences? Well, this kind of goes back to what I was talking about a little bit earlier. They may have been raised with their parents in a certain faith, and George here might have saw a girl down the street, but she was worshiping somewhere else, and so he decided, in order to get to know her, he would have to go where she's worshiping, and they begin to date, and later on they marry. But they realize they do not want to be offensive to their parents, and so they find a neutral church. And so they've gone through 3 different religious experiences. And I want to make sure that when I'm talking to them that I get all 3 experiences so that I understand where they are with their salvation. Well, George, I didn't find the Lord that way. May I share with you how I found the Lord? Now, what's interesting, again, I'm using the word share. I'm not talking about Bible study or you need to talk to my preacher or pastor and all that stuff. May I share with you how I found the Lord? See, the thing that I have done, I have earned the right to be heard. I asked some questions. For example, if I would get a class picture when you was like in the 5th grade or 7th grade, the first person that you'd look for in that picture would be yourself. Well, I'm doing the same thing here as I'm asking these questions. And the other thing is people very often will say more to a stranger than they will to a loved one. But I've listened to them. I haven't argued or debated with them. I've complimented them all the way through this series of questions. And so I've used psychological, or psychology, I guess you might say, Psychology 101. And I've earned the right to be heard. All right. So here we are. Are you a Christian? I don't know. I think so. I hope so. Were you ever a Christian? No. Well, Sue, do you love God? No. Well, I appreciate your honesty, Sue. Remember I asked and want to talk about it. And hopefully we'll meet again and maybe we'll be able to have a cup of coffee or sandwich together. Does that sound good? Oh, yeah, sure. Leave a friend, leave a friend, leave a friend. Top of the page, are you a Christian? I don't know. I think so. I hope so. Were you ever a Christian? No. Well, Mary, do you love God? Oh, yes, I love God with all my heart. Well, that's wonderful, Mary. May I share with you how I found the Lord? Top of the page. Well, Joe, are you a Christian? I don't know. I think so. I certainly hope so. Were you ever a Christian? Yes. And then I go through these questions that I talked about a little bit earlier. Well, I didn't find the Lord that way, Joe. May I share with you how I found the Lord? Well, absolutely. I'd like to hear what you have to say. All right. Well, thank you, Joe. Top of the page. Mark, I was just wondering, are you a Christian? Yes, absolutely. Well, Mark, I'd like to ask you another couple of questions, if I might. How old were you when you became a Christian? Where was it? Was it Sunday or during a revival? Was it at home? What night was it, Mark? Mark, I was curious, how did you respond? Well, that's interesting, Mark. What did you do to get right with God? Ah, you came forward and prayed. Is that right? Yes. Well, Mark, when did you join the church? Oh, really? So you were saved on Tuesday and baptized into the church on Sunday morning? Is that right? Oh, yes. Well, Mark, I really like hearing stories like that. That's great. Have you had other salvation experiences, Mark? You have? Well, I'd really like to hear that. Could you share that with me, Mark? All right. Well, appreciate hearing that. Thank you. Well, Mark, I didn't find the Lord that way. May I share with you how I found the Lord, Mark? Well, yeah, I'd really enjoy hearing that, Reggie. Well, thank you, Mark. All right. Tell me your story. Tell me how you became a Christian or were saved. Purpose? To get the defining moment of salvation. So here's the questions. How old were you? Where was it? Was it on a Sunday or during a revival? Was it at home? What night was it? How did you respond? What did you do to get right with God? Did you pray? Then you are telling me that you were saved in the prayer, right? When did you join the church? Oh, you were saved when? And were baptized into the church on Sunday morning, right? Have you had other salvations experiences? As I said, you do not have to know these word for word, but you want to be able to say them in your own wording, and you want to be able to convey the thought. We won't get into the alternative questions for high church and defining the moment, but there they are. But remember, you want to get their story. Do not show surprise or disagreement with the student's answer. Do not attempt to address their validity. We're not there to argue, to debate. Do not talk church until the proper time. In other words, if you bring it up, then they might say, well, I belong to the First Church of such and such. Well, I appreciate that, but I want to talk about Jesus. Keep these questions and answers in your mind, and later, during this study, revisit them and write their answers down. That way, when they change their answer, you say, well, I wrote that down here, and they say, oh, that's right, that's right. If these questions are not asked and the answer is written, it is possible that by the end of the study, when he understands God's will, he will have subconsciously rationalized in his mind that is exactly what he had done when, in fact, he has not. Train in presenting the gospel. We use the Bible. And I will be getting into that in another video. I appreciate again you taking time to allow me to share with you the interview. May God bless you in your journey of reaching God or reaching people with God and sharing with them your story as they have shared their story with you. God bless.